Newcastle are back to winning football matches, and isn't it great? But ahead of Bournemouth visiting St James's Park, could Dan Burn be the reason that we might see goals, more goals, from one of our Brazilian maestros in midfield? You're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? So if you're curious, Newcastle fans, ahead of the Bournemouth match, do us a favour and make sure you stick around for a lovely little dollop of black and white banter. Welcome back to... Oh, that came out weird. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. I hope you've had a good week. Of course you have. Newcastle United have won 4 matches away from home in a row. Yes, you can say that loud, you can say that proud. Away form, an issue? What? Sorry? No, long gone. Forgotten about. Eddie Howe's Mags can play football away from home. Eddie Howe's Mags can win football matches away from home. And Eddie Howe's Mags can drink bars dry in the away stands and on the way home, toasting those away victories. Yeah, all is well. And I'm going to start this video by firstly apologising. And I'm not ever going to apologise to anyone watching for not making videos because I feel like I have to. I've wanted to make videos all week, but my God, has it been one of them weeks. Haven't even got my last word video done after Nottingham Forest. And I always like to talk because I've got a million things going on in here in the aftermath from analysing, from writing my blog. So yeah, it's been one of them weeks. It's frustrating me and I'm really trying to manage my time to make more videos because if there's one thing I love making, if anyone follows me on any other socials, it's Newcastle content, serious and less serious on the regular, and I just have not had chance. I worked the Super Bowl till 5 in the morning, the Super Bowl. Bit disappointed Mad Dog Tyndall wasn't on the halftime show, but never mind. Working the Premier League darts on Thursday night. Work, dog. Just, yeah, one of them weeks. I got me dealing with Eddie Howe's Mags episode out though, if anyone wants to watch that. And if you haven't noticed, I've got a lovely little garment on. The Newcastle Club shop at the moment is doing a ridiculous sale. This was £17 with a discount code on top of the sale. It's normally like 50 or 60 quid. Ooh, I was ready for a new quarter zip. I've got a hoodie, a Mad Dog Tyndall hoodie.
That's going straight in my basket.
I got a vest for Newcastle's pre-season tour. Please be somewhere hot. Check it out. I don't know if it's still going on. But yes, sorry, that's my rambling over. If you're new around here though, before we get into the top of this video, Newcastle fans, do me a little favour and whack the likey. Oh yeah, you like that? Likey. Lou goes a very long way of giving us one of them. A very, very, very long way. More than you might know, actually. The more of them, the more this appears on people's YouTube searches. Who's that black and white band? Oh, give that a go. Oh, look at that, lads. New quarters. I'll stick around and watch this. That could happen if you do that. So do it now. And if you like my opinion by the end of this, whack that subscribe. I do follow Newcastle home and away. And I will be at the Bournemouth game on Saturday with a lovely match vlog to come on that one. Probably a couple of beers needed after the week I've had as well. So, you're probably thinking, what the hell is Matthew going on about? And why is this a bit of a match preview with a bit of a twist? It is. This is part of my thoughts after the Forest game that will lead into me looking ahead to Bournemouth at St James's Park on Saturday. So, Dan Burn going into the Forest match was a hot topic. He was, let's face it. Lots of people on buses down, trains down, car journeys down, myself and the Cold Dog included, did not really want to see Dan Burn in the side. Nottingham Forest had pace in Elanga, in Gibbs-White. It didn't really make sense to many people how after Dan Burn got burnt, essentially, on the racetrack by Luton's right midfielder, who I constantly forget the name of, it didn't make sense. But Eddie Howe did play Dan Burn. And there was a couple of eyebrows raised, and you're hoping that's not the talking point at the end of the match. Luckily, it wasn't. But how did Eddie Howe, who celebrated wildly at the end, which is very out of character for him, very, very out of character. I'll share some footage of his celebrations right now. We've only ever really seen that in Chelsea last game of the season last year, when Champions League qualification was done, and it was basically a thank you to the fans and a celebration with us. We don't see that. And he looked a very emotional character. And he will have known, going into that Nottingham Forest game, he had a lot of heat on him, a lot of talk and in the press conference before about Dan Burn. But I also think that the reason he was celebrating so well and so big by his standards was because he was celebrating a personal victory on a tactical front. That's where the dramatic music kicking in might start. That's right. Dan Burn played, and Dan Burn could and might be moving forward into this Bournemouth game on Saturday, be the catalyst potentially for Mr. Bruno Guimaraes to continue doing what he did on Saturday, which he hasn't done much of for Newcastle in his career, scoring goals. So I know what you're thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Matthew? So, Dan Burn played on Saturday, but what we noticed very quickly in the match was a tactical change. Kieran Trippier, who registered his 10th assist, the first player to do that for us since 2001, 2002, a certain Laurent Robert, as I said on my stats last week, or the week before, I think it was last week's match vlog, he played some of the game. Every time we attacked forward, Kieran Trippier dropped in as an inverted midfielder. Defensive midfield, if you want to look at it that way, with Mr. Lewis Miley. Little bit new for Miley. Dan Burn then slotted into a back three of obviously Botman, Share and Burn, a role he's played many times before in his career at Brighton and Fulham. And Bruno Guimaraes pushed on as a number 8. What did we see from Bruno? We saw 2 goals. Now, I know what some people in the comments might say. Well, Matthew, one of Bruno's goals was from a corner. He probably would have been up there anyway if he was playing a little bit deeper. Yes, I agree, but look at the second one. What we are seeing with Bruno when he's been pushed a little bit forward, we know he's creative, is that he will naturally, don't care what anyone who has those kind of comments replies back, he will naturally create more chances. He has a freer role further up the field, closer to the opposition goal, in and around that 18-yard box. He's not always going to be great at striking the football, we know that, but it will free him up to not only score more, but create more. And Eddie Howe changed things on Saturday, and I think moving forward, it's going to continue to be a risky move, and I said after the match on Saturday in my blog that it was a risky move, because if you notice, Dan Burn got caught in the first half by Elanga, Dubravka saved his bacon. There was an issue for their first goal that wasn't just Burn's fault. It was a defence splitting pass and the gaps were a little bit too big for my liking between him and Botman. But still, a defender with pace might have got across and stopped their goal from Elanga run through. It did come with its risks. But to be able, in our current injury situation, that I need to stress, that is the thing. With no Joe Linton to play defensive midfield, with no Tonali, still no Joe Willock, for us to be able to move Kieran Trippier into the offensive role, drop to that back three, and then say, Bruno, go on, I think that could be a move moving forward in this little mini injury crisis that we are continuing to find ourselves in. That could be a masterstroke in certain matches, and if he continues that against Bournemouth on Saturday, again, I think we will see more from a player who, to be totally honest with you, in my opinion, I think Bruno is one of the best players in Europe, I do. But for Bruno to be in a world-class attacking Brazilian midfielder title, he needs to start adding goals and maybe assists to his game after looking at his numbers. And it was amazing to see him get 2. It was amazing to see him celebrating with us in the stands on Saturday. It was great. We know how passionate he is. And Dan Burn allowed that to happen. And I don't care what anyone says, Tino Livramento is not used to playing as a centre-back or as a 3. He's never really done that in his career, and he would have not slotted in as comfortably as what Dan Burn did. It's his bread and butter. Dan Burn, a lot of people say, is a better centre-back, and it's hard to disagree with that. And it worked, and it did come with its risks, but I am curious now to see whether Eddie Howe continues to implement that system, because Trippier can play that defensive midfield role, no problem. He can push on where needed. Lewis Miley, again, is it risky to play him in that deeper role? Maybe. It's still a bit untested. It worked on Saturday. Forest were in our faces a little bit in the second half, but I don't know whether that's necessarily his game. We know he's fit. We know he's confident, but is he strong enough? Does he do the donkey work, as modern football fans like to call it, enough? I don't know. But without Joe Linton, that system to push Bruno on a bit worked wonders, and I genuinely think that's why Eddie Howe was celebrating. So on to Bournemouth we go. This is the Eddie Howe El Clasico. Eddie Eddie Howe, that doesn't work. We'll just go Eddie Howe El Clasico. Funnily enough, it's the Eddie Howe El Clasico, and it's a game that Eddie Howe's never won. Even Mags is looking at us thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Dad? That doesn't make sense. He never won the fixture with Bournemouth, and he's never won against Bournemouth with Newcastle. Obviously, the less said about our trip down to the Vitality Stadium earlier in the season, the better. That was probably our worst performance of the whole season. That was the first game that we looked really tired, and they battered us. Could have scored 4, could have scored 5. Solanke was having an absolute field day. This is not going to be an easy football match. It is not. But Bournemouth, more recently, have lost that little spring in the step that they had around the time they beat us, around the time they went to Man United and got a famous victory, which was amazing to see. Every time I like to see Man United get beat. And they do come up with their flair players. Of course they do. Solanke's going to be the key. He's going to be the one we all have eyes on. He's going to be one going into this with confidence, knowing what he did against us in the previous match. But Newcastle need to put what I'd call the icing on the cake between now and us having a strong season finish is getting the home form back. We've never known this under Eddie Howe supporting Newcastle, for us to be not winning matches and conceding goals how we are and just looking a little bit flat. We need to get back to being solid. That starts with defence, in my opinion. It really, really does. Botman and Shearer against Luton were not good enough. Everybody talked about Dan Burn, and rightly so in some parts, but our whole back line was pretty shite. That needs to change. Whatever went wrong against Luton, there's so many things. Forest, we weren't great defensively. We are scoring and conceding, and it's entertaining and it's full on. But I'll be totally honest with you, it would be nice as a fan on Saturday to just see a lovely 1-0 or a lovely 2-0, a comfortable 2-0, like what we did to Palace earlier in the year, like what we did to Burnley earlier in the year. This, you could argue, falls into that category of home game. It's not a top 6, it's not a bottom 3, it's that steady home game, like Fulham before Christmas in our last away home win when we won 3-0. It's not going to be easy. We need to be switched on, but we have to be playing with some momentum now. Now, team news going into this one. Back 4, again, there's going to be calls for Livramento. Is Eddie Howe going to change it? I don't think he will. I'm now for, it would be hypocritical of me after the first part of this video, I'm for him playing this system that pushes Bruno on to add us a little spring to our bows. We'll get on to strikers in a minute, but Bruno could be more important in the final third. He really, really could. I'm not saying he's going to repeat what he did on Saturday. That's probably a flash in the pan by his standards in his career. But we are going to need those kind of threats. Midfield, again, picks itself. It's going to be Bruno. It's going to be Longstaff. It's going to be Miley. Bruno's playing with that 9 yellow cards. It's going to happen sometime. We've got Arsenal next week, so I would really, really, really prefer Bruno. If you could just stop the people's elbows and if you have to give a tactical foul away to stop someone scoring, if they're running clean through, do it. Do not stop doing them things just because of worries over a suspension. But nothing daft. No daft 2-footed tackle like we've seen recently. No daft people's elbow off the ball. Nothing stupid. Because Arsenal, we really need our best players on the pitch to stand any chance against that awful lot. So Bruno, midfield picks itself. Forwards, Anthony Gordon, we didn't expect him to play and he was marvellous. My God, that guy is, if he never trained all week, the guy's, for me, he's our player of the season so far, and it's not even close. It's not even up for debate. Anthony Gordon is playing out of his skin. Strikers, we don't know. Eddie Howe played his MasterCard in his press conference. Isak is very close. We don't know. Alexander Isak might be in the squad. Callum Wilson, I'm not going to talk about him too much on this video. It's a freak injury. It's nothing like what he's had before. So yes, we can play that he's a crock card because he is. He misses too many football matches. But to hurt his pectoral and need surgery on his pecs, whether he's just gone for a boob job to Turkey, I don't know, is very, very, very unfortunate. It sounds the most freak thing. And I don't think his reputation as a crock should be tarnished by something that's so freak. It's just an awful combination, but he misses too many football matches, so he's gone now. Wouldn't be surprised if we never see him in a Newcastle shirt again, which I'm gutted about because I love him, but I'm not going to spend this video talking about him. He's not fit. Right hand side, Murphy looks like he's touch and go. If Murphy is available, put him in. His XG stats for Newcastle since he's come back are class. Almiron does not offer what Murphy does. He maybe just offers a little bit more zip and work rate than Murphy, just slightly. Murphy, I've really liked him against Fulham. I've really liked him When else has Murphy played? Aston Villa, when we won 3-1, that was another good night. I've really liked him playing for us, so that's who I would go with. If no strikers are available, of course, Anthony Gordon's going to play down the middle. Harvey Barnes is going to play on the left, and then you've got the midfield choice. Unless he goes Almira on the left, I would go Barnes. Barnes knows where the goal is. We will need that if we don't have a striker on the pitch. Now, let's finish this with, of course, some black and white banter. Stats. How fit is it then in the Eddie Howe Classic? Or Eddie Howe, if he wins this football match, that'll be his 100th win in management. 56 have come with Bournemouth, and it'll be 43 with Newcastle. I mean, you couldn't write that, could you? It's the Eddie Howe Classico. Newcastle have scored 51 goals now in the league. The quickest time that we have got a half century of goals in the league since the 1960-1961 season. So you can have your opinions on how this season's gone. We've scored plenty goals, obviously helped by that Sheffield United 8-0, but the less said about that, the better. And as it's Eddie Howe's big day in the sun against his former team that he loved so much, I'm going to retract what I said earlier in this video. Eddie Howe, it's not that he's never won ever. He has not won in his last 8 matches in this fixture. 5 with Bournemouth and 3 with Newcastle. So it's not that he's never won it. It's just been a very, very long time since he's seen a victory in any match between Bournemouth and Newcastle. It's all about Eddie Howe on this video today. Well, we do have a bit of a spring in our step. I've seen it in the last couple of matches. Our playing style is back. I knew it would be with the intensity. I've looked in the stats. I've seen stats on social media, on Twitter. All the stats say that numbers are up. Intensity, aggression, kilometres covered. It's all back because we are not being run down with no rotation available, playing all these fixtures. And that feeds into this. We just need to be better defensively. I want to see more control. I think we might see it against Bournemouth on Saturday. We need to start the game well. I'm going to go for 3-1 Newcastle. I hope I'm not living to regret that. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. That's just not happening at the moment. I don't think we're going to tighten up that much in 7 days, but I do fancy us to win this one. Newcastle fans, give us your predictions down below. Let us know what you do with the teams. Let us know what you think about Dan Burn helping Bruno to score more. And if you're around at the match on Saturday, top of the Gallagher steps, I will be there speaking to fans after. Come over, say hello, and have a bit of black and white banter. We can even go for a pint afterwards. You're buying though. See you on the next video. I will.